Hey folks, Crazy Climber 80 here again, and we're going to look at game number 11 in our 20 from the Atari 2600 VCS series, and this was a port from an arcade release by Nintendo in 1983, and this featured the second game in which there was a character named Mario in it, and this one features his brother Luigi for the first time, and this is of course, Mario Brothers. This was a great port. There were a few elements that were missing from the arcade game, but I was okay with that. I owned this back in the day, and it was a great port. I enjoyed the hell out of this. And you could play two players simultaneous play in this one, too. Well, there are 8 game difficulties, or 8 game variations. And on the even numbered ones, they are for two-player simultaneous play, where player number 1 is Mario and player number 2 is Luigi. And the difficulty switch, to A or B, it doesn't have a function in this game. The game plays generally very much the same as the arcade Mario Brothers, in which you, or maybe you and a friend, have to jump up to bump the floor underneath enemies to flip them over, and then you jump up and touch them to knock them down. And you have to do that for all the enemies on the stage. There will be fireballs that make life difficult for you, but you can turn them off in some game variations. And yeah, there's 8 game variations. Well, we'll go ahead and get started in just a sec here. But I will play game variation number 1 with fireballs. Now, one thing you'll definitely notice that's different in the Atari 2600 port of Mario Brothers from the arcade original is that 2 enemies cannot be on the same floor. An enemy will turn around and go the other way if they're about to drop off and go to a floor where another enemy is. I imagine they did that to keep there from being too many sprites on the screen and making a annoying flicker. But yeah, the first 2 screens have turtles as your enemies, and you just gotta bump them once from below. Just press the jump button and you bump the floor underneath, and that'll turn them over. In the first stage, there's only only 3 turtles, and in the second stage, there's 6, and there will be a bonus stage on 3. And just like in Mario Brothers, you just collect all the coins you can before the time runs out. But it's very easy in the Atari 2600 version. If you have any time left, just kind of gotta fart around until the time runs out. That's not the same in the arcade. Whoa! The fireballs can appear at either the left or right edge of the screen. And now we have the crabs. The turtles are known as Shellcreepers, and the crabs are known as Sidesteppers. And the crabs you have to bump twice below. And note when the last enemy appears on the stage, and this was the same in the arcade, they will be much faster. And in the case of the Sidesteppers, they are super fast, so you really gotta watch out. Now notice, if you've played the Mario Brothers arcade original, there is a POW block, which will bump all the enemies automatically, and that is at the bottom center. You just jump underneath it, and you get to use it 3 times, and it'll restore itself every 10th stage. But in Mario Brothers, the Atari 2600 port, you get an extra life every 20,000. For killing an enemy, knocking him down, instead of a coin like in the arcade game, you will get a colored wafer. But just the general feel of this game is very similar, I think, to the arcade. I enjoyed the hell out of this. I used to have this at home for my Atari 2600. And now we deal with the Fighterflies. And you have to bump these guys when they're landing on the ground. If you try to bump them while they're in the air, then it's not going to work. Note that the fireballs are faster than you. Eventually in this game, the fireballs will just automatically fly across the screen. They will not appear and then fly across the screen. They will always be flying across the screen. And the life gets really difficult when that starts happening. If you die just as you finish a stage, like if you knock down an enemy and then get hit by a fireball or something, it won't cost you a life. You'll be able to finish the stage and not have lost that life. In Mario Brothers, the arcade game, you were able to kill fireballs by bumping them from below. You can't do that in the Atari 2600 port. And that's kind of frustrating sometimes because the fireballs can be more difficult, I think, to deal with in this game than the arcade. And there's another bonus stage. After the bonus stage on 8, I'm not sure when they appear again, or when you have to play the bonus stage again. You might be able to make a jump. It's kind of hard to, from the middle far right platform over to the middle center platform. Oftentimes you'll just have to fall off and then just jump from below. Now we are dealing with a character called Slipice. And this is a sentient chunk of ice, and he was in the arcade. Look at all these extra lives I have. Now the fireball will constantly go across the screen. And it can appear at either the left or right. And it can appear right by you too. So be careful. The Slipice you can bump for 500. The other enemies are 800 when you bump them, or when you flip them over. You simply bump the Slipice to kill them. That guy was gonna get away, so I let him go. But if you let the Slipice go to the third floor, down below, or the second floor from the bottom, then they will try to freeze the floor. While they're in the process of freezing the floor, while they're in the process of freezing the floor, you can touch them, and then you'll kill them that way for more points, for 800 instead of 500. And now they've frozen the bottom floor, and it's blue. Once they've frozen the bottom floor, then they can try to freeze higher floors, the next floor up. And when the floor is blue, it is slippery. And if you let go of the controller while moving on the floor, then you will skid. Yeah, I really thought this was a very good port. I played this a lot. I got fairly good at it. Yeah, in some ways it's harder than the arcade, and I was very good at the arcade too. I was saying that this was the first game. This was the first, or the second game in which there was a character named Mario. That's because he wasn't even called Mario until Donkey Kong Jr. And then Mario Brothers came out, and they called him Mario in that one too. And of course Mario was the villain in Donkey Kong Jr. There's some brilliant game design in these early arcade games. But yeah, if you let the Slipice try to freeze the floor, then you can touch them while they're doing that and you'll get more points, 800 as opposed to 500 from simply bumping him from below. And again, each time you kill an enemy, there will be a wafer appearing from the pipes. This was just a really well done port, I think. There was a funny commercial that for this game that stole the theme from Car 54, Where Are You? And they changed it to Mario, Where Are You? And Luigi's getting, player 2, Luigi, is getting beset by the, crap. Oh, well, I didn't lose a life. Luigi is being beset by the critters coming out of the pipes. And this is the first game where they make mention of Mario's brother Luigi. And now notice that all the enemies are at the fast speed, like when they were... Like when they were the... Damn it! Like when they were the last enemy on a stage. Yeah, notice that the POW block will change color the more you bump it, and again it will restore itself completely every 10th stage. Now the game variations, like I said, the even number is always 2-player simultaneous play for that type of difficulty setting or game variation. But you can have fireballs, or you can turn off the fireballs. You can start with 5 lives, or you can have 3 lives. Well, that's the end of that game. We'll have a quick look at some of the game variations. We'll start with a quick look at 2-player simultaneous play with both Mario and Luigi. And know that there's heavy flickering. It's probably not that bad on the game. This is just emulation here. But here's variation number 3 without fireballs and with 5 players, 5 lives. Yeah, you can have 5 lives or you can have 3 lives. I'll even show you what happens if you fry the cartridge a little bit later. Again, frying is wiggling the joystick, or wiggling the on-off switch between on and off, and it sometimes produces interesting changes to your game. But that was 3 lives, and then this setting is again no fireballs with 3 lives. You can have no fireballs with 5 lives or 3 lives, and each with 2 players simultaneous play if you like. And here I'm going to fry the cartridge. If you fry the cartridge, it might start with a bonus stage automatically with all the floors invisible. But I remember where the floors are, so I'm going to be able to clear this. Eventually the game will not be playable. Here we go back to normal play, and you might think, well, that's cool, I got some extra points from the bonus stage, so now I can just keep playing. Again, you get 800 for knocking an enemy down and 800 for picking up the wafer, but you only get 500 from bumping the Slipice from below. but you get the full 800 for touching him when he's trying to melt or freeze the floor. Yeah, after you pass the regular bonus stage on stage 3, then no more enemies will appear, which makes the game basically unplayable. I mean, you'll still have to dodge the fireball, but there's really no point to the game anymore. I definitely remember this port. I had this, I played it a lot, and I remember when the arcade original came out in arcades and I first saw that one. I think I was at a market or a specialty grocery store in Portland, Oregon. And shortly after that I saw it at a 7-Eleven. And now there are no more enemies. So the game is pretty much unplayable, which kind of sucks, but oh well. That's what happens if you fry the cartridge, or that's what happened to me. But that was Mario Brothers for the Atari 2600. That was game number 11 in our 20 from the Atari 2600 series. Well, this is Crazy Clown Radius, and thanks for watching Mario Brothers by Atari and Dan Hitchens in 1983. I will catch you later in the future with game number 10 in my 20 from the Atari 2600 series. See you then, folks. Have a good one. Bye-bye.